Hello, all you Astroflower people out there. Boy, is it cold here. We're going to be getting into the collective reading now for the February of 2023. I'm looking forward to this. I did the yearly readings and I found that there was some sort of February anomaly in every sign and within the collective reading as well. And then I sort of like tied it up to all those sort of changes that are going on in the beginning of March as well. There's loads of things going on this year. And so I'm really looking forward to this. It's looking at the individual readings that we've been doing for every single sign across the last sort of week. There's a definite build up. There's a positioning. It appears to be that everyone's sort of setting themselves, putting themselves in a position where they can, confront or start the new sort of thing that we're going forward, and yeah, so I'm looking forward to this year. It's going to be an amazing one. Collectively, I think it's going to be a real, you could never write this stuff, you'd never see it on Netflix. It's just the human race and this world is such a beautiful place, such an amazing place, even when it's difficult. When you look back and you just kind of go, oh my God, I can't believe we did that as a collective. What were we thinking? Do you know what I mean? It's even still, you can look back and just kind of go, you look at massive wars and conflicts and you just kind of think, where did that come from? What happened there? Why did someone start throwing all their toys out the pram and everything like that? It's just like, us humans, what we like. So, regardless, I know it can be difficult. Believe me, I know it can be difficult. Life is never easy as it says. Even I'm convinced, even the people who've got loads and loads of money, got loads of yachts and what have you, I think their life's difficult as well, in different ways to what my life and your life is about. But I think everybody's got a difficult life, and I think we're all suffering and we're all loving at the same time, just in different ways. Maybe that's what that acceptance is this year. Who knows? It's the new paradigm as far as I'm concerned. I think it's sort of like started kicking in really last year, and we're sort of waking up to it. And it's like the sun's coming up, and you don't have to get up for another hour and a half after the sun's got up. And so you're waking up, and the day's already started. That's the sort of scenario that's I think going on at the moment. So we're all getting dressed, getting ready for the day. This is what it appears to be like. It's there's a strange sort of rhythm. If you look at the rhythm of the seasons, so you got like winter for me is the start of the season, start of the Earth seasons. So the winter solstice is the new year for me. It's Christmas and New Year all rolled into one. So that's the winter period is the first year. That's when you get the vibrations come back into the energy lines in the northern hemisphere. They literally double in size on the exactly when the solstice is kicking in. And then you get the spring, and then it goes up. So it goes up by a third. So if it's like 12, it goes up to 24, then goes up to 36. So it's adding 12 each time. So it just makes a doubling a third and then a quarter by the end of the season. So we get these sort of four sort of seasons, but you also get those four sort of seasons in the day. Your winter period, I would say, is from 6 in the morning through to midday. That's when you're sort of waking up. You're getting involved in the day and everything like that. The afternoon, you're setting things up like the winter does, the winter period does on Earth, regardless of whether you're in the northern or southern hemisphere. So basically, yeah, you got the first 6 hours, which is that winter period, and then 12 to 6 is like the spring period, and that's when things start happening that you've prepared at the beginning of the day, or you get involved with at the beginning of the day, and then it's sort of like then you can see the fruits of that labor of the day coming to fruition in the afternoon. And then at 6 o'clock, then we move into the summertime. So that's the sort of evening period, 6 to 12, is when you should be enjoying the fruits of your day. And then we go into the autumn period where we fall asleep. And we fall asleep right through to 6 in the morning. that sort of rhythm there can be repetitive on, you could see it in a minute as much as you can see it in a day or 1,000,000,000 years. You're still going to get that rhythm. That's the sort of rhythm from the universe, as it were. It's like that 6.18. It's got that sort of several sort of cycles within it, basically. So I feel that at the moment that's what we're doing. We're sort of getting dressed and ready for the day. Just got to be ready. Got to be ready. Okay? Well, you don't have to be ready. Turn up in I used to just wear Wellington boots as a kid. Quite literally just Wellington boots. And I grew up in London. So I spent the most of my time with my people phoning my parents up saying, he's in the garden again. Yes, he's only got his boots on. So turn up as you are. Was it come as you are, as you were, as I want you to me? There you go, song for the day. So yeah, it's come as you are. Come as you are. And it's not McDonald's. Alright? Okay? It's not. Anyway, don't get me started. It's preparing, basically. So we're going to go into, after my whittle on and my rant about things, let's get on to your chakras, your aura, and the tarot reading, our collective tarot reading, our collective aura, and our collective chakra reading. Let's just go here, and we got here the chakra man. Excuse me. So we're just connecting to the collective for February. So obviously the dogs want to have their say. Don't know if you could hear that. Just some dogs barking. Right, so there's the root. There's a sacrum. There you go. Okay, excellent. Let's get straight into the root situation. What's going on here? There's several things going on here. There's a bit of a Libra aspect to it. Those of you Librans who've seen your weekly reading, I talked about your right hand root chakra as well, and that it's in movement. And that's what it seems like with the collective. That ties into that transition moment in February between one solstice and an equinox, basically. And there is a transition that's going on there. It's a transition of setting our spirit or our emotions or our emotional energy into a position where it can be defined and recognized. It won't be a case of, it seems like, obviously we get a lot of people getting highly emotionally charged about loads of different subjects and ending up acting on those highly charged emotions. Now sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it's a really bad thing. And I think that's going to become it's going to be looked on as worse, basically, as sort of people are trying to sort stuff out and you get someone coming going, oh my God. And you're just kind of going, look, man, I'm just trying to sort this out. We're trying to arrange the situation rather than just scream about it. And I think that's come to an end now. I think that's, that chicken licking, or was it penny or penny henny or henny penny or whatever. The chicken that runs away because the sky's falling because an acorn fell on their head, and I think that's coming to an end. We're now getting on to, okay, fine, thanks, yeah, lovely, heard you, right now, we're just going to sort it out, yeah? Go and have a cup of tea, sort of scenario, because it's obscuring the real situation. That's the problem. If you're trying to listen intently for an animal or something like that, for a bird song, and then there's someone sort of like next to you, obviously you're not going to be able to hear the bird song. It's going to be really difficult. And I think we need to sort of collectively get to a point where we can kind of go, hang on, let's just listen. Let's just feel. Let's take the collective. It's like everything in life. You're going to have always two extremes, but really it's the center middle road, the boring part, that actually defines where we're going. You know, the rest of it is like noise. And I think this is it. Within the root chakra, we've got that transitional phase coming through in February, where it's really going to be recognizable, that it's no longer going to be big news of, I don't watch the news anyway, so I wouldn't really know, but, you know, big news of just someone screaming about something. And it's just like, okay, move on. You know, we've got stuff to deal with. You know, it's time to grow up, sort of scenario. There is another thing going on here as well. It is like condensing those extreme views. So it's bringing those extreme views to recognition what parts are just extreme views and what parts are actually valuable, because there's value in everybody's view. There's no doubt about it. And that should be recognized, regardless of who you are, where you're from, what you do, everything like that. As a person, every single view is important. That's why I think social media is really, it's played a really important part in society, simply because we need to have everybody's view, regardless of whether you agree with their view or not. But, you know, someone's view in India is going to be different to my view here in the UK. We're in a different part of the world. They are going to see different things to what I am going to see. You know, so describing what we see, I think, is important. But just leave judgment out of it, basically. Move away from judgment. That's what sort of seems to be happening here with this condensing of the root chakra on the right hand side. On the left hand side, this is the right hand side of the person, so it's as if I'm looking at the person. So it's their, you know, their right is my left, if you know what I mean. I think there's, just in case that was cute, because it can get confusing sometimes. On the left hand side, really well defined root chakra, very well defined. You can see the beautiful ridges in it. You've got that corkscrew effect of it, where it's just set, basically. So there seems to be something that sort of sets in regards to business, money, even political points of view. There's, you know, or political situations or governance situations, I would say, more than anything else. I think that's going to be like that's done. Now that that's done, let's move on. So interesting month, really. Let's see what's going on the sacrum. Now, this has been true for pretty much every single sign on an individual basis, where the right hand side is a lot less prominent than the left hand side, and this runs to form with the root chakra, basically. It's not tied to it, but it's in close proximity. Therefore, it's going to be almost in cahoots with it. So collectively, we won't be so concerned. I don't think we'll be concerned with, you know, watching things just kind of go, oh, isn't that funny? You know, sort of things. I think we're going to be more concerned with, no, I don't want to watch that. It's just nonsense. It might be funny, but nonsense. Okay, this is interesting information. You know, I think people's thirst for knowledge and understanding you know, helping people set themselves, position themselves, is becoming uncontainable. It's bursting out in all the seams, and regardless of what society tries to do to sort of position it and close it off, is coming to an end. It's seeping through. There's too much pressure from inside to really know, rather than for me to tell you how it is. I will give you my point of view, and that's what it will be. You know, I'm not going to tell you what to do. Hence my name. You know, I live by my name, Lawless. It's just the way it goes. So I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'm going to give you my point of view. Because I think, as I said earlier on, I think that's really important. And I'd love to hear your point of view as well. Put it in the comments below. I respond to every sort of comment, I think. You know. Yeah, I think it's finished, dead and done, the idea of sort of saying, and this happened, this is what you should be doing. It's more of a case of a kind of going, apparently this happened, we haven't got all the information, you know. I think they realise that the emotional weight in that no longer exists. People are almost immune to it. They've had overload, like a 10 of wands sort of scenario. But there is a definite within that sacrum, and that's all to do with desires, and it's the desires on the administration, financial sort of side. And as I say, a lot of signs have had this, and it's the desire to have it in, to clarify it all, to position it all, so we can then move on from that position. And that seems to be playing really quite a strong part in everybody's thing, everybody's reading, weekly reading. Right, let's go into your solar plexus now. Or our solar plexus. Do we have the courage? It's beautiful. It's like a voluptuous daffodil. It really is. It's very, very nice. There's a lot of warmth coming off it. It's not heat. It's warmth. And it's almost like it's not golden like yellow. You know, gold is not like yellow. It's slightly orangey in a certain extent, and it's got that sort of orangey glow, a bit like the Astroflower at the beginning of the reading that comes up at the beginning of the reading. It's just so nice, and the petals dovetail really nicely between one another. I think when we start positioning ourselves. Let's just have a look inside. Let's see what's going on inside it. That's interesting. Normally you get inside the solar plexus is where your children connect to you. Physical children connect to you. So it goes child-parent, not parent-child. That's how if you would like a energetic, influential flow. I guess you could call it as a technical thing, mainly comes from the child rather than going. So then you've got the youth provoking and pushing the new tomorrow, because it is their tomorrow that they're pushing for. So, you know, which is understandable. Looking at me, you know what I mean? There's probably more behind me than there is in front of me, you know, but... So I'm into the afternoon and lazing in the sunshine on the beach, you know, when the kids are running around sort of still building sandcastles. But so, you know, it comes from them. So that energy comes that way. But if we look in the collective solar plexus, it's as you've got this growing together of roots. It's like it's formulating into one passion, or one desire, or one direction. I get that group every time I say that word. One direction, and it's converging like you know, like the roots of those sort of flowers that is in a bulb and goes up, and then has lots of little little flowers at the top, usually pink or blue and stuff like that. I think it's at Christmas time or in the springtime and stuff like that. And then it's like an onion in a way, as I said the other day to. I forgot what sign it was. I do apologise. I think it was Capricorn, actually. Was it Capricorn or Sagittarius? Sagittarius. I don't know. Anyway, you'll find out. I'm sure the person will comment in the description below. But you've got these roots at the bottom in this bundle, in this cluster. And it seems to be doing that. It seems to be the passions are coming together into one direction, which is really beautiful. And the solar plexus is this majestical royal crown of old without jewels on it, just pure gold. and it gives an untouchable, clean passion, determination, confidence, courage, position, almost sort of energetical weight, sort of an aura or persona. It gives us of authority, but without being don't do this sort of thing. It's just an authority because it's there. It's almost as if collectively, just do what you're supposed to do. Okay, this could be a suggestion, right? I think I'm going to just do what I think I should be doing. And I think if I just do that and everybody started doing that, we'll actually find out that, oh my God, we're actually going in the same direction. And that's that coming together. I think it's coming together out of individual action, basically. On my workshops, we do lots of dowsing, lots of feeling the energies and everything like that. And we often do it with our eyes closed. Now, I prefer to do all of energy work with my eyes open, and I don't get my students to do it with the eyes closed. I do it with the eyes closed, so then they can't be influenced by seeing what other people are doing. And then at the end of the exercise, we open the eyes, and I guarantee you, 85% of the people are doing the same thing. And it is so. And I've been doing these workshops for 20 odd years now. If you've got 10 people in an area and you want me to come and do a workshop, just give us a shout. I'll be there. I love doing them. It's just such a great experience every single time. So you've got this collective direction which comes out of individual desire and direction. Really, really solid. Really, really beautiful. It gives a lot of hope and not hope, because I'm not a great fan of hope. It gives a lot of purpose to the raison d'etre of the human collective. There you go. How about that? Stick that on your Instagram and smoke it. I'm full of it today. It's terrible. Right, let's go into the heart. Now, the heart on the individual readings once a week. In the individual readings once a week. The heart has been very particular, and there's been very particular positions. I think there was one on Libra. I also think there was one on Capricorn and Virgo as well, just off the top of my head. And I think, generally there was. I think it's actually mainly Earth signs, but there's something particular going on with the heart. There's a shift in the heart energy, basically, and the chakra of the Earth. The heart chakra of the Earth is in St Michael's Mount in southwest of the UK. You got the solar plexus in Alice Springs, or the Ayers Rock or Irabu or whatever it's called. I do apologise. You might want to correct me in the comments. And then you've got the sacrum, which is in Mount Shasta in California. And then you have the third eye and the throat chakra, I think, is over in Mount Fuji, in that area. It moves around that a lot. I say a lot, it is every sort of like several hundred years, but it does move around. And then you have the crown and the root chakra on Mount Kailash in Tibet, or is it Nepal? And then I think it's Tibet actually, but and then you have the root, which is in Lake Soledad, which is in Bolivia. I think it's in Bolivia. I'm pretty sure it is. If I'm wrong, please do give us a shout. It's the highest salt lake in the world, and I think it's the largest as well. But anyway, so there's a lot going on with the heart. There's a lot been going on with the heart chakra. Let's just have a look, actually. Let's just have a look at the chakra of the Earth. Let's just bring up the Earth chakras here, and let's just see what's going on here. It's like it's like having a car that you've just got ticking over. That's just, and all of a sudden you got in the car and you're starting to rev it up and you're starting to go. I think the heart is kicking in, and that's going to knock a lot of people off their perches. They're going to knock a lot of people off their perches and basically have a good look at ourselves and as collective, as individuals as well, really. You know, just want to have a look at that solar plexus as well, because they're tied in together. It's becoming very, very strong. You've probably got a lot of earthquakes at the top of Australia and going on to the Philippines and stuff like that. I would have thought there's a lot of earthquakes in that sort of zone at the moment. I think those are the two chakras that have been really changing a lot. I think the throat chakra and the third eye is also one that's starting to wake up as well. So let's just see there where it's going on there. Yeah, it's working towards a clear communication. So there you go. Let's get back to our chakra, man. And let's get back to the heart chakra. Now the heart chakra here it's full. It's not swollen, it's full. It's at a lovely level. But it's split into two. It's split into a section on the outside, which is much more concerned, obviously, with the integration of our heart or our heart's desires with the outside world. And then there's a section in the middle, which is to do with us as individuals and our own heart's desires for ourselves or for our partner and our friends, our family and stuff like that. There seems to be a definition, a real clarity, and I think this could be to do with the positioning that we're talking about that's happening in February, where people are starting to set themselves and kind of going, this world has got to change, and I'm going to be part of that change. I'm not just going to stand behind a banner and walk down the road sort of saying, we need change. No, I'm just going to go ahead and change. Regardless of rules, regulations, and what other people have set down as prisonable offences, no, things have got to change, and it's going to change. And I think it's going to become more and more evident of where that defining line, if you like, it's like a disc that's got now sort of like two rings in it, a bit like the discs of Saturn, for example. But you've got like one defining line between the outside and the inside, and I think that's helping us as individuals, but also as a collective and a custodian or an important player within the ecosystem of this planet at the moment, to define our position as regards to us as a collective and also the world that is around us as an ecological system, but the world around us as an energetical system, and as a moral or karmic system as well. And I think this is positioning a lot of things. And from that position, it's going to make progression and development between each and every single one of us so much clearer. It's gonna make it obvious, and what I call is the evident path. I believe that there is no choices whatsoever in life. That's an illusion. You think you're choosing things, you're not. Well, I don't believe that. I think we're in a situation, or we're here on this planet. It becomes obvious of what we do. So if I haven't got any food, it's obvious that I've got to get some food. There's no choices in that. And as you go further, you'll start to realise that there is no real choices. It's evident that I bought that car because it's that colour, because I like that colour. It's just evident things that drive us, and this driving force of the evident path of what I call the 7 wonders of the world, which is the primary things that we make decisions about when we're young, between the ages of 0 and 9 months of our lives. It's the only time we're making choices. And we're choosing what the 7 wonders, which parts of the 7 wonders. So we're talking like colour, temperatures. So different temperatures, different colours, how that we interact with them, what plays best with us in best situations. that's how children or babies look at the world and understand that. They're learning about the energetic fields, because I believe they see energetic fields when they're very young. We see that when we're very young. It's very blurred vision in a way when you want to see magnetic fields, because you're not using the focal length, you're using the peripheral view to see energy, because energy goes in a curve a little bit like light. So am I whittering on again? I think I am. But anyway, we're getting to a point here within the heart where there's a real definition between self and selflessness. Yeah, that came out wrong, didn't it? Between self and the collective. Yeah, or the inter-self between one another. So I'm not no one's going to be telling you what you should be doing. You should know what you're doing. And we have to, as individuals, we have to learn to trust our fellow man. Now that's the big game changer, I think. It came out in the 2023 readings as well, I think. I don't know, check it out. I do so many readings. I can't remember everything. But I think that's also came out in that. And I think that's playing out through the heart at the moment. It is activating. And if you've ever we create a company called Cymatic. And Cymatic is the experimentation or the exploration of the transformation of vibration into physical reality through shape and sound. Very interesting experiments that have been done for hundreds and hundreds of years. And this is what's happening. The heart is being turned on. There's a gentleman on Facebook who I'm friends with on Facebook who does amazing things. David Schneider, I think his name is. Don't quote me on the surname, but go and check out my Facebook page. You'll see him under my my friends under David. He does some amazing work. I think he's out in California. But yeah, does some amazing work with cymatics. And this is what's happening to the heart. And this is what you'll understand, that when we play a certain note, the energy will take on a certain form. And this is why, sound is one of the 7 wonders of the world. Color as a vibration. It will create a particular archetypal shape within your energy. There's lots of things that go into this. So understanding this evident path will mean that you no longer have to worry about what your fellow human is doing, because you know they're doing what they should be doing. And that's going to take a lot of weight off of us in order to concentrate even more on what we should be doing, which some of it should be having fun. Right, let's get on to third eye and the throat chakra. I think there's a transition here, and I said about communication and stuff like that. I think the energy, and I've seen it in a lot of the chakras actually, where the throat chakra is further out than the third eye chakra, and the third eye and the throat chakra is the same chakra. It's just like one's the front end and one's the back end, and it just goes in a U shape like that. So if you pull on one, the other one is going to shorten. It's like that. It's like a trombone sort of scenario. And at the moment, the third eye is a lot prominent. And I think at the beginning of February, it is that moment of realization in our logical minds, not in our logical minds, of what we should be doing. And that becomes clear. There is another point, and I think the throat chakra collectively it sort of follows in behind a little bit like the trail of a wedding gown. It's sort of like the person's gone past and then the end of the gown goes past like 2 hours later on. But it's got a certain delay on it, and I think the throat chakra is definitely picking up and going a lot further than the third eye, and this is where we will start communicating those ideas. And communication doesn't necessarily mean speaking either. It can also mean doing, setting by example. It's also listening as well. and hearing the ideas of other people that are around us. There is a transition, and that's the chakra that is really transitioning at the moment. I think the heart has already transitioned, the solar plexus has already transitioned, and what normally happens is when you get the third eye and the throat chakra then transitions, and then you'll get the sacrum, which will transition, and then that finishes with a complete transition between the root and the crown, and that's the cycle done. And I think this cycle has been coming for some time. I think it's going to play out from now right through to 2024. And I think it's got to do with Pluto as well, which has been going through Capricorn and stuff like that. So I think there is a transition from idea to expression of idea over the period of February. Let's just see what's going on the crown chakra. Okay, this is well defined. If you go on to go and look at crown chakras of Egyptians, it's like this vase that starts off like that, goes up like that, then it usually goes quite straight and then curves out at the top, like a beautiful vase. At the chakra here, the crown chakra here goes out and then sort of goes out again like that, and then it has this ripple effect, but it has generally got that shape of a vase sort of scenario, and it seems to be inside your crown chakra is like a disc in a way, and that's like your consciousness, and it's like excess cord in the system. So when you expand your consciousness, that cord then goes into the system, so therefore your chakras can go further than the cord. So let's just say I've got a cord that is a meter to do my heart chakra. Because I involve my consciousness within my heart chakra, all of a sudden I've got 2 meters. So therefore I can do things with my heart which normally I can't do in a normal situation. That's when you connect your consciousness to it. Now, obviously, the more rope or the more complex your consciousness, the more flexibility you have within your energetical system. And that's all part of a learning process as well, which we go through on an individual basis. And that's all to do with reincarnation and everything like that. But these are concepts and ideas that sometimes it's difficult to get people to get their heads around. But as someone who's had a near-death experience when I was 20, I can't pretend that I know exactly what is going on. But it's made me look at life in a completely different way since the age of 20. So there's a lot more to it than meets the eye, let's put it that way, which I say in our book, The Event, Not Everything Is What You See, which you can find on Amazon. Bit of a plug there, sorry. So that's what's going on the chakras, on the collective human. I think there is an engagement of the consciousness within our heart to have a definition of healthy boundaries between the individual and the collective, and how the individual can have an effect on the collective and help the collective and also this planet and everything on it find its harmonious place as we go through this transition of energy, which we are going through at the moment. It's a bit like a pole shift that we're going through at the moment, and that setting in place has come about as well because the solar plexus is really starting to take its position like a beautiful emperor. The root chakra is definitely gearing up to this change, which is connecting to that crown chakra, which is that consciousness, and then the loop is completed and we can then evolve and evolve. So there you go for February on the chakra reading. Let's just see what's going on the aura reading. Let's just see what's happening here. Okay, the aura has on certain levels or certain layers, and that's the best way to describe it, of your magnetic field, right? You have parts of them that are ondulated, they're wavy, and that gives a little bit of slack into the system. It's a little bit like, if you like, the Van Allen belts that are around every sphere that exists in the universe. It's around the solar system. You get Van Allen belts, but you get Van Allen belts around the Earth as well. it's not Van Halen as in sort of, I can't even think of a Van Halen song now, Downer. But it's not Van Halen, it's Van Allen, I think. Pretty sure. If you know any Van Halen, Jump, I think, has got something to do with it. But anyway, you may want to comment on that. But anyway, you had these sort of slacks going on, which allows for excess amount of energy to just sort of flow through you at a time. The important thing about energy is the flow of energy. That's the important thing. What you don't want is high fluctuations of volumes per hour, as it were. You can have a large energy, a very large energy, but the flow through is going to be the same as, you know, as someone who's got smaller energy or more confined energies. And as it confines, it's going to go a lot quicker. You know, so, you know, those people will tend to be very fast, and the people who've got very large energy tends to be someone who's very slow. So we have these undulating things in order to give it a certain flexibility within the magnetic fields. And as I say, we see this in every single thing that exists, as it were. But here is slightly different. That undulation is going throughout the whole aura. It's going from root all the way to crown. It's almost as if, like, the aura of the collective is almost as if it's like it's crouching down, ready to spring up. And that could be the March thing. And that could also trigger, because those undulations are the energy fields that senses the other energy fields that are around us. There's certain energy, you know, magnetic fields, like there is around the Earth. You have certain magnetic fields, layers of magnetic fields, which contain the oxygen in the air. That is completely different to the other parts of the magnetic fields, which is you wouldn't be able to breathe in. And this is, and you know, so there's a definite separation between atmosphere and outside of magnetic field. And this is the same thing within our auras. It's, you know, it doesn't necessarily touch us directly, although that it does, but it doesn't, it's not the driving force, as it were. It's an influence. That's what I want to sort of say. So it's sort of, at the moment, you may find yourself very conscious as an individual of the connection, the unseen, unheard, untold connection between one another, between us, which is the collective consciousness. And the collective consciousness does not necessarily mean everybody thinking the same thing. That is complete nonsense. The collective consciousness is the idea or understanding that this needs to be done. So let's just say there was going to be an earthquake in some place. Animals may sense that, and without talking to each other, they move up. I think Rupert Sheldrake calls it the morphic fields, and he did a really good study on dogs and their owners going out, and the dogs know when the owners have decided, even if they're miles away, they've decided to come home, and they're on their way back home. It's great. Rupert Sheldrake from Oxford, amazing guy. So yeah, he did a lot of stuff with Terence McKenna and stuff like that out in Hawaii and stuff like that. Anyway, what's going on here is the aura is sort of preparing, and it seems like a complete preparing. It's not just, oh, that's interesting. It is, oh, we didn't know the world was like this. Wow. Sort of scenario. And the collective thing is getting ready to jump, ready to spring into action. So you might be very conscious of that collective consciousness that is around us in this month. And it can be disturbing. So, you know, do take time out just to do stupid things with your kids, with your friends, with your family, just to enjoy everyday life. I think that's really important. Just to sort of stop for a minute and just take time out to just, you know, do a bit of brain freezing away. Everybody likes to play a bit of darts or go for a run or go for a walk. Just that sort of thing where you can just stop your mind for a little bit. Or you can do that in your meditation if you so desire. If you're hell-bent on the collective consciousness, you can do that as well, which is great. It's actually brilliant. I'd take part in that sort of thing. And yeah, so it's it's understanding or connecting or realizing. It's like everyone's crouching, kind of going, oh, I've just got to move slightly to the left, because otherwise if we spring up at the same time, we're liable to bang into each other. So everyone's positioning at the moment, and the aura seems to be encouraging that sort of scenario within the collective. Okay, so interesting month, very interesting month for us as a collective. The one thing I like about February is that intervening month. It's for 28 days, and the 28 days, it's all about the here and now. The 28 days is the lunar cycle. The 30 and 31 is the solar cycle. So it takes roughly, on average, it depends on what you're looking at, because the poles rotate at a much quicker speed than the equator. But on an average, if you're taking the whole of the sun, it takes 30.56 Earth days to do a rotation as a point of view from Earth. So 30.56. That's why we've got the 30, 31, 30, 31, 30, 31. And that came about in the Gregorian calendar in, was it 1256 or 1056? I think it's 1256 actually, where we changed from 10 months, December 10, October, which is 8, November, which is 9, yeah, September, which is 7, and you've got all of these months that were in a 10-month calendar system. There seems to be a card that's sort of flipped out and I'm in about. No, they didn't. Okay, so yeah, it's that's what I like about February. It comes nicely in the 4 weeks. That's what the moon's all about. Very regular as clockwork. Lovely thing. Let's see what's going on the overall energies here. There was a story about a king who was going to pass on all his wealth to his 3 sons. I say sons. You know what I mean? This is an old story. Don't hammer me for that. Onto their 3 children. Okay? And he said to the 3 children, he said, okay, this is the Great Hall. Yeah? Here is X amount of money. I want you to go and buy something that will fill the Great Hall, right? And the first one came back with straw, and he didn't even fill like a fifth of the hall, And the next one came back with the first one came back with wine. That's right, and he didn't even fill the Great Hall at all. The next one came back with a load of straw, and it sort of filled up sort of like a third of the hall. And the last one came back with a candle, and filled the hall with light. And so the king and queen gave their riches to that child there, And I think this is what it's like here. It's understanding of looking at life in a different way. I think this is where the positioning happens with us. We're going through that portal. Look at that. 4 of Wands. Absolutely brilliant. You couldn't ask for better than that. We're going through from one aspect to another. And it is that transition. It's like when you're getting to a festival, you're buzzing, there's loads of people, and you haven't even set up your tent yet. And we're setting up the tent. There's no groups on as yet. There's no music going on. You're just setting up the tent. You're getting ready. That's what you're doing. And you're arrived at this festival. People are celebrating already. You don't even know what they're celebrating, but they're just celebrating. And what we're celebrating here is that transition. And this month is all about that, is the arrival and setting ourselves, moving on. Let's just see what's going on. This is on the collective side. So we're going to do sort of first week, second week, third week, 4 weeks. But we're also going to combine it into how our ancestors are trying to encourage us, how our future selves are trying to encourage ourselves, what the outcome is, and what our, you know, our connection with the universe. Let's just see. This here is about the karmic mission, as it were, and this is regards to relationships or emotions and stuff like that. It's basically it's understanding energy and how it connects to, and how it creates our emotions. It's understanding the growth of Kundalini within oneself. Once you understand that growth of Kundalini, that energy that flows through, so you get the first energy, which is the vertical energy between the crown and the root chakra. And as you do build that up, then all of a sudden you open the heart chakra. And then that keeps going. And as it keeps going, it opens up the solar plexus chakra. Yeah. And then that sort of sits in place. And then we get the third eye and the throat chakra. Then that sort of sits in place. And then you get the sacrum chakra. Then that sort of fits into place. And then you come back to the vertical energy and it all fits into place. And that's when you have complete cycle. Ooh, that's so lovely. What was I saying? Completely lost myself now. Yeah, so it's understanding, thank you, it's understanding how we put our energy into that. How we, there's the Four of Cups that want to come out. Flip back in, so I'm not having it. That definitely wants to come out. Those two definitely want to come out. It's understanding. So learning about the emotions and the Kundalini. So here we're sort of saying, with that extreme sort of emotional views that we've been getting, this is what it's been creating. It's been creating anxiety within the collective, anxiety within the individual, because we've only had, human beings that are kind of going, oh, the sky is falling down. And even if it is falling down, screaming it at the top of your head is not going to help matters. Getting things done and doing things on an individual basis is going to help. So then what the transition is understanding of how you channel your energies, how it affects those emotions. So what you should be aiming for is that white dove. The white dove is all to do with the Holy Spirit, the eternal energies, everything like that. And here it's connecting that energy, sort of saying, if I put this energy in this configuration, it's going to make me happy. If I put it in this configuration, it's going to make me slow down. If I then just sort of open my heart, all of a sudden it's going to make me a lot more sort of bubbly and happily. Yeah, if I put it all into my plexus solus, my solar plexus, it's going to make me concrete and solid and want to do things and have things in very regimental ways. So understanding that, and I think is learning how to control your emotions. I think this is what this month's all about, how to control our emotions through that inner vision or that inner energy or that Kundalini. If you don't know anything about it, I'm sure there is courses local to you for meditation, for yoga, for lots of different things. Just get involved. Not one person has the way of doing it. Obviously, I have my ways of doing it, and I do that in my workshops, and I encourage it in my workshops, and I explain my way of doing it. It may be absolutely brilliant for you. It may not. And, it may be brilliant for you to discover it elsewhere in other techniques. That doesn't matter. The importance is that you connect with it so it works for you, and it does work in a very mechanical fashion. Energy, it's very tied to physics, basically, of electromagnetic fields as one aspect of it. It's just our intentions that give it the definition or the form or the color or the intensity, basically. Look, I think they're saying to me, look, Tom, it's all very well you whittling on, but just get a move on. Yeah, that's what it's sort of saying to me. Right, okay. Let's get on to how the universe, this is the first week of February, and how the universe is trying to influence it as well. I think this is an observing moment. It's a bit like, let's say, a rabbit that comes out of its out of its burrow and sort of stands there, looks around, smells the air, listens, you know, connecting all its 7 wonders of the world to find out what's going on around you. That's what it's sort of doing. And I think, yeah, so you got a bit of a leap of faith. It's leap of faith in regards to your connection through energy and your emotions. It's trying out things. It's having a go. It's positioning yourself. And I think that almost a week of exploration, of sort of kind of going, I think it's like this. Let's just apply it in my life. Oh, look at the results. You know, that sort of thing. It's just having a go, basically. That's what it seems like. And the universe is also encouraging us to do that. If we do that, we're going to become part of the universal system with ease. It's going to be great, and the universe is going to love it. Let's just see how that's just the second week. But this is how the our ancestors are trying to sort of influence us. They're almost smiling at me as if to sort of say, you know, that we've got you here. You know, it's like, you know, the youth that's kind of going, oh, granddad, he's such a doddy old guy. He you know, he's so quirky in his old ways. And all of a sudden, the kids come back and sort of kind of going, look, we've discovered this and everything like that. And kind of going, yeah, that's fun. You know, to granddad, sort of saying, we've discovered that life's like this. Wow, this is amazing. This is a whole new discovery. And granddad's sort of sitting there kind of going, yeah, so you've come back to the way I've been trying to tell you for ages. It's like the ancestors are sort of saying, welcome back home. You know, glad to see you. Did you enjoy your excursion? You're back to way of living life, connecting with energy, connecting with everything that is around you, all the species, all the integration with nature itself. That's what it sort of seems like here. And that second week is that integration, harmony and balance. Look at that. It's balancing the old and the new, and it's absolutely beautiful. Yeah, it's welcome home. Welcome home, basically. The ancestors are really trying to sort of say, look, you know, it's good to explore, but it's also good to recognize what is an internal truth. And you can question that internal truth. That is not a problem. But recognizing it when you realize it is a good idea. Okay? So let's just see how the third week here, and this is how our future selves are calling us forwards. There's social connection. You know, that's going to come out at some point. I can feel it. They're giving us a real defined direction, and it's the direction of the individual, but within the collective. It's like, I want to study maths, so I go to this university where there's a lot of people who are learning to study. It's an individual thing, but it's within the collective, as it were. Oh, how mad is that? Do you know when I said earlier on they want me to get on? The Queen of Cups came out, and the King of Wands came out, and it was just like getting passionate. The plexus, the solar plexus, and the heart. And that's what they're bringing us onto. The idea that a resonance that comes from within. So understanding your emotional connection, or the connection of your energy to your emotions, how that energy actually drives your emotions. So you want to have a look at how it works on the sun, how that affects your emotional sort of state. What does a solar flare do to you? What does a corona hole do to you? What does a filament eruption do to you? What does the magnetic solar magnetic sheet, polar sheet does to you? There's lots of ways that you can understand how you've been influenced by sort of things. And sometimes you have peaks of energy which has nothing to do with you, that you just have to ride out, or have to deal with, or have to use. It depends on depending upon you. And this is what I think they're calling us towards, that sort of understanding, as it were. Let's just see what's going on the material side. Now, this is really human, as it were. The karmic path on this is all cards on the table. I think this is the understanding and the positioning that we're doing here. All cards on the table. Do you remember earlier on I was sort of saying walking away from, extreme views? Yeah? That's exactly what's happening there. You got that person there kind of going, oh, the world is falling down and everything like that. Yes, it may well be. As I said, it is changing. And we are going through a magnetic pole shift. And there is going to be huge, huge changes. I go into my book of the event. Came out 3 years ago. I wrote it actually 30 odd years ago. But anyway, it's another story. But they're walking away from that sort of thing because they're causing a headache. They're not allowing everybody to see things clearly of what's going on. And I think it's all cards on the table now. It's going to be blatantly obvious who is gaslighting, who is telling the truth, who is really concerned about the future and has really got parts of the solution, because the solution is not in one person's hand. It is in our hands. That is the important thing we should understand. Let's just see what's going on the how the first week and how it's the universe is trying to influence this sort of karmic message in a way. Once you notice, this is a learning process which is connected to energy. Once you notice energy and how energy changes, people can no longer lie to you. That is the funny thing. Some people lie to me. I do healing sessions all the time, and I'm sitting there looking at their aura, looking at the colors, how they move about, how they change as they peak from one subject to another, how they transition from one emotion to another. So I can see the mechanics of what's actually going on within them. And I can see when someone is lying to me. It doesn't necessarily mean that I turn around and kind of go, oh, you're lying. No, because that may not be the best way, because maybe they're not ready to see the truth either. I think here, though, is that the people that are not conscious about this sort of scenario have to be told. So we need to turn around and sort of kind of say, well, I think you're going off on an agenda there, really, rather than saying a truth. And I think the gender politics is going to, a politics or even a gender economy, I say agenda economy, yeah, a gender economy, because there's a gender economy, yeah. I think we're going to work to something that is a lot more sort of concrete and clear, basically, with the world around us. And it's not this sort of like never-ending rabbit hole, because that's a distraction to you, to keep your eye off the ball. And I think it's time that we got our eye on the ball. And I think here is a little bit of that. It's where we're putting our eye on the ball now. And, where there's a certain accountability going on straight away. Not necessarily in what have you done and what haven't you done. It's saying, what are you saying? Sort of scenario. It is going to be a bit of a tower moment, I think. I think it's going to be a bit of a shock. And I think this is also the changing ripples within the aura as well. There is change happening. And a tower moment doesn't necessarily have to be a horrible moment. It can be a great moment, because it clears a lot of old belief systems that no longer work, basically. And I think this is what walking away from that is, this tower moment, because people are going to be kind of going, what, if everyone walked away from, say, like organizations, non-government organizations that's trying to influence everybody else in what they do in their life, and also could be government organizations, governmental organizations, just walking away, just turning your back and sort of kind of saying, look, we're not going to pay attention to you anymore. They're going to be like kids kind of going, why are you not listening to me? Something, because you're screaming and you're just oppressive. So please, excuse me, I'm trying to live life. Sort of scenario. As simple as that. Don't go on marches, just march off. Sort of scenario. And I think that could create a massive, massive, massive sort of tower moment for society. Not for the individual, but for society. A real recognition of what's going on. Let's just see how our ancestors are trying to influence this. Exactly. Okay, so it's time to take off the masks, wash the rubbish away, clear the place up, that we know what's going on. Get rid of all the costumes and distractions and stuff like that. Yeah, I think they're asking us to sort of pattern it up, basically. The Queen of Pentacles, she sat at the base of the tree of knowledge. The tree of knowledge is the understanding of the process of life itself. So she's complete and confident in where she's going. And our ancestors are trying to install that confidence within us, which gives us that harmony and balance, which we see on this side as we go into that new paradigm. It's also having an understanding of finances and of governance as well, where it's not built upon imposition, but built upon position and respect, basically. And I think this is what is happening across the board. It is as we position ourselves going forward, which is going to force change in the entire world around us. The evident path is that one cup that's giving out the water. We have to realize our evident path. That's what we need to do as we go forward. Let's just see what's going on the third week and how our future selves are trying to influence us. Passion is building. Stay strong, stay true to yourself, walk away from everything. And at the moment you walk away, imagine, right, there's like this massive gathering and everyone's like kind of going, why are you like this, protesting against each other? And you just sort of kind of go, well, I'm walking away. You walk away, all of a sudden you've got loads of people over there and you've got all this beautiful space in the countryside. And you leave the hustle and bustle behind. This is metaphorically. It could be physically as well. I would encourage everybody to move to the Pyrenees. Everybody. Like-minded people, just move to an area. Move to the Pyrenees, especially the Pyrenees. It's going to help us out in the pole shift. Even the dogs agree. So there is this sort of like, being strong and moving. Yeah, it's look at that change of fortunes. It is. I think this is where financially we're going to kind of go, look, guys, it's like, someone who's eaten all the chocolate biscuits and they've got chocolate all over their mouth and go, what? I never touched them. Never did it. No, wasn't me. We've all had, we've all been kids at one point, and we've all had kids. Well, majority of us have probably had kids who've done exactly that. I had a picture. There's a picture of my daughter when she was making the chocolate cake. Remember it distinctly. She literally painted her face in chocolate, and I said, "Have you been licking the bowl?" She went, "No." Just so funny. I love kids. But anyway. It's a little bit like that. We're going to be looking at society and kind of sort of saying, look, we know you've been eating the biscuits. Don't worry, you've eaten them. Now you're heavily overweight. And you're not appreciated. You're losing all your respect in society. That's what's happening here. And as they lose their respect in society, all of a sudden, this is going to give space and room through this tower moment to something that is completely new. And it is a change of fortune. It's not only a change of fortune for us as individuals, but it's a change of fortune for our collective, but also a change of fortune for this planet and our solar system, that we are going through a magnetic change as we go through the galactic plane. That's what's happening at the moment, folks. It's normal. We're moving from the southern part of the galactic plane to the northern part of the galactic plane. So there is a magnetic field here that is a particular type. And as we move through, it flips and we go into a magnetic field which is opposite to this one. And everything gets inverted. Even you, in your energy as well. And this is what the positioning and setting is all about. Yeah? So let's just see what the overall outcome is as it moves into March. I'm getting like a fireworks just kind of going off all over the place, and people standing around kind of, wow. It's just, I would say shock and wonderment. Look at this. It is moving into that new cycle. Let's just pick out a few cards to see what's happening in that cycle. Should we just pick one for either side? Because I'm just curious. And I'm not even gonna channel it. I just want the cards to sort of figure it out. Okay, so there's disappointment and great ideas. I think that's probably to do with the past, and sometimes, you know, you're going to find people that you love around you that don't get it. And it's not a case of shunning them. It's not a case of walking away from them in certain ways. It's just a case of realizing where everybody is in the journey. And when you recognize that, you can have a relationship with those people at that level. Don't try and bring them to your level of where you are on the path, because it's going to be really difficult for them to do. You know, if you're sitting on top of a mountain, you're going to have a view like that. And then when you go down into the valley to see your friend, you know, and kind of start saying, oh man, there's amazing things going over there. And they kind of look over there and kind of go, well, it's just the forest there. What are you on about? And they kind of go, oh, right, yeah, you can't see the sea from down there. That sort of thing. It's just like, make sure you know sort of what's going on here, what's going on with the forest and the river and everything like that. You know, talking to each other on their level, you know, and people do evolve, people do change. And I think it's a little bit of like that. And I think that's emotionally, I think that is going to be, I said shock and wonderment in a way. I think the shock is realizing that disappointment in a way. You know, that Auntie Betty or Uncle Bob is not going to be coming with us on this journey, and you've got to just leave him behind. You know, it's happened to me in the past, and I think it's happened to a lot of people, and understanding that, I think there's a bit of a disappointment. But on the same time, we're going towards all those lovely new ideas that are going to be put into practice. So that's a possible heads up about it. General, very, very general sort of thing at the end of the day. So, yeah. Yeah, that's just the general thing that's coming in the future. Okay. I will also say that I seem to think that this is really important as well. Energy hygiene, to do with that Kundalini thingy. So have you finished anything that's connecting to energy and everything like that, you just get that soap bubble and you allow that soap bubble to just gradually go down behind your head, go down your back. As it goes down your back, goes down to the lower part of your back, gets to your hips, divides into two bubbles, goes round your hips, goes down your legs, comes to your knees, go down your knees and forward down your shins, over your ankles, along your feet, comes to your toes. And as it gets to your toes, it just goes and pops. And that basically clears your energy field. And I'm not, you know, I walk away. You don't need to get in conflict. There is no good and bad. It doesn't exist good and bad. That's a misconcepted thing. It's just people after certain desires and certain goals and certain views of how things should come out. And I think those views are actually going to start coming together in a lot of ways. So there you go, the collective. I hope you enjoyed that. You will be getting your individual monthly reading coming out on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesdays. That's fixed on Monday, mutables on Tuesdays and cardinals on Wednesday. And then you'll have your weeklies after that. In the meantime, everybody in the Astroflower, thank you very much for being here with us. And don't forget, life should be fun, so please do enjoy.